In this video, we are forecasting an entire week of wild weather across the U.S. The Storm Prediction Center has put out severe weather risks for tomorrow and Tuesday. On top of that, we have blizzard warnings going out up north ahead of a huge blast of snow. And then we are watching the pattern closely as another whopper of a system is looking likely across the central and eastern U.S. later this week. Welcome back, y'all. Ryan Hall here with the weather forecast. The weather has been pretty quiet for most of us over the past couple of days, except for up north where a gang of snow squalls raced for hundreds of miles across several states, causing whiteout conditions and thunder snow. I'm referring to this little event as the Snowrecho of 2022, but I am the only one doing that. That is not the technical term. This was one of the most prolonged and widespread snow squall events I've ever seen, and this is one of the most insane videos of snow I've ever seen. Let's check it out. This is from Stormin13 Norman on Twitter there. Look at this. You can literally see the snow coming in like a wall. Most regular storm squalls don't even look this crazy. Look at, you can hear the wind roaring and then boom. This is what a snow squall looks like, guys. Wow. Man, that is absolutely insane. I mean, this really kind of reminds you of what, the initial section of a derecho would look like as it comes in. Some places did record wind gusts in excess of hurricane force with this stuff. My goodness, man, this is the definition of whiteout conditions. There were a lot of car accidents during this, a lot of pileups on the roads. That's why you got an alert for a snow squall warning yesterday. A lot of people didn't know those existed. But yeah, if you're tired of the snow and the wind and the rain or even the severe weather, I've got bad news for you, because we got a lot more coming up. Let's get right into looking at those models. All right, let's get started here with the HER model. Once again, this is the high resolution rapid refresh. This is gonna show us pretty much what the radar is gonna look like as we go forward. Starting off today around 3 p.m. Eastern. If you wanna keep up with that date and time, it's above my head. Some gusty winds and some snow showers in the higher elevations over here in the northwest, but for the most part, everybody's quiet. However, in the upper levels, something is going on. We do have a little bit of a trough over here that's gonna try to dig up some moisture from the Gulf of Mexico and combine it with a little bit of that cold air and bring us some severe weather possibly. But here I am all the way at Monday tomorrow, and we still don't have a lot going on. We do have some rain showers popping up in the deep south and some heavier snow squalls now moving into Oregon and California. But now our focus is going to shift down here to the south central U.S. where the Storm Prediction Center does have a slight risk of severe weather for tomorrow. Let's zoom in here a little bit and look at those supercells. That's right. Looks like possibly some supercells could be popping up here in central Texas. This is west of Dallas, Fort Worth. This is south and east of Wichita Falls, and everything is moving off to the northeast. Once again, this is around 8 p.m. Things start to, kind of intensify as we get later into the night. Around 10 p.m., now these storms are making their way into the Oklahoma region. Could still see embedded supercells here in this multicellular line, and the risk is certainly there for damaging wind, large hail, probably some very large hail with some of these storms, and of course, the isolated chance of a nadir or two. Tornadoes are possible with this, and look at the time. Once again, we're talking about 12 a.m. We could be potentially looking at another instance of nocturnal tornadoes or nadirs in the dark. So this is a great time to go ahead and take your precautions because, you guys are going to want to be asleep on Tuesday night, all right? We got to go to work on Wednesday. We got to go to school, whatever it is. There is no need to stay up all night, sipping coffee, looking at the sky. Just make sure you have some way of getting warnings. Here we are around 2 a.m. on Tuesday, and everything's pretty much congealed into a pretty big multicellular cluster here, and I still think the biggest threats are going to be wind and hail and heavy rain. But on the southern side of these storms, if anything touches the open warm sector, we could see a tornado or two even this early in the morning, and that threat is going to extend all the way up into western portions of Tennessee, Kentucky, extreme southern Illinois, and of course in Missouri and Arkansas here, okay? And if I pull this all the way out, we've got a little bit of a squall line heading into the Ohio River Valley and mid-Mississippi Valley around 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning, which once again, the straight line damaging wind threat will be there. Let's look at that lower level jet. You say, Ryan, what's this? Well, it's nadir juice. This is one of the main ingredients you got to stir into your nadir juice there to get an actual tornado, and we do have ample amounts of it out here. Monday night, where we expect those storms, anywhere you see the reds or the browns, we're talking about lower level winds around 40 to 50 knots, which definitely would support rotation, and then things even grow as we go later on into Tuesday. Tuesday, okay? So we're going to be watching this as a multi-day severe weather threat. And speaking of ingredients necessary for tornadoes, one of the things you got to look for is curving winds with height. Okay, you want to see that wind shear. And one of the ways we look for this is by looking at something called a hodograph. Anytime you see these lines curved, that means that conditions are favorable, at least as far as the wind speeds and the mid-levels of the atmosphere go, are favorable for tornadoes. So this is a brand new map from the College of DuPage. Completely geeking out right now, and I wanted to share it with you guys, okay? So once again, you guys can look at this too. But look at this, early Tuesday, we have favorable hodographs. We have some curved noodles here. One of the ways to look at this is that, you know, a lot of times storms will take the shape of these hodographs. Usually a supercell will kind of have a curve on the top of it with a little hook echo on the bottom. So, you know, that's just one thing to look at. We'll go over this more in depth in the future so you really understand it. Very cool map. I know my weather geeks are going to love this, but yeah, we're going to get more in depth on the severe weather threat down here a little bit further to the south and east right after we thank our sponsor. Policy Genius, get covered with confidence. Odds are, if you're watching this video right now, you know exactly how important it is to have home insurance and auto insurance. Policy Genius is your one-stop shop to find the insurance and buy the insurance that you need. They make it super easy to compare home and auto all in the same place. They can help you find coverage that's similar to what you already have but at a lower price. Or if your policy is getting ready to renew, they can go ahead and start looking for you a new one that's also at a lower price. Policy Genius does not sell your info to third-party companies. And since 2014, Policy Genius has helped over 30 million people shop for insurance and placed over $120 billion in coverage. In fact, Policy Genius has saved customers an average of $1,250 per year over what they were paying for home and auto insurance before. Head on over to policygenius.com/Ryan Hall to get your free home and auto insurance quote. And let's see how much you can save. And of course, there is a link in the description down there. So let's get back to the video. Here we go. All right, coming down here to the south and east, we do expect severe weather down here as well. We have that day 3 slight risk. As that trough ejects off to the northeast, we do have plenty of nadir juice out here. We've got a lot of support for severe weather, so we're going to be watching this very closely. On the composite reflectivity, you can see that warm front lift north. Behind it, we have a trailing cold front, almost like a stationary front, as that low goes off to the north and east. And that is going to sink just far enough south Tuesday and Wednesday to potentially cause some more severe weather down here along that boundary, okay? So one of the biggest threats I see is actually going to be the flash flooding, okay? We're going to have a pretty intense and prolonged period of heavy rain here, so make sure you're prepared if you live in a flood-prone area. All threats are possible here: hail, wind, damaging winds, and of course the isolated tornado or two. Now, we're going to have a lot more information on this once we have those convective allowing models down here, but for now, hey, you got a 3-day heads up. Start thinking about the potential for more severe weather in the very near future. All right, zooming back out to the whole U.S., and while everybody down here in the south is dealing with severe weather and warm temperatures, everybody in the north is dealing with cold temperatures and snow. In fact, we have blizzard warnings going out up here near Grand Forks, north of Fargo in Minnesota and North Dakota, ahead of a major winter storm. Look at all these winter storm warnings too out here towards the west coast, and even some winter weather warnings for Seattle all the way down to Portland into northern California. Check out all that prolonged and heavy snow across Montana and Idaho. We've got a lot of moisture coming in into the west coast as well, and look at how this extends all the way into Canada at this time. This is a very widespread major winter storm. Really strong winds during this time as well. And then as our storm gets its act together down here, we start to see a thin band of ice form in Iowa up through Wisconsin and especially into the oven mitt of Michigan. And everybody north of there is just experiencing a lot of heavy snow with some strong winds, intermittent blizzard conditions for everybody. The really strong snow comes into Minnesota and Wisconsin around 4 p.m. on Tuesday. Even still at this time, we're talking about blizzard conditions for some of y'all. So, I mean, blowing snow is going to be a problem. It's not going to be the deepest snow accumulation you've ever seen in your life, but man, it's going to be pretty wild out there. Still seeing potentially major ice in Wisconsin up through Michigan. And then this thing really flattens out and goes up into Canada. Even our southern Canadian cities here stay all rain. All that heavy snow is staying off to the north. Same story goes through a lot of the northeast, except for the northern top of Maine, where you guys could see some ice and snow as well. well. Here's a look at those snow totals. We're getting a lot up there in the Cascades and of course in the Rockies, but even down closer to sea level in Wyoming and Montana, we are talking about a good 6 inches of snow for some people. Look at this thin band of heavy snow that's going to be setting up right along the border of South Dakota and North Dakota. That's going to extend into Minnesota, where you guys could see over 6 inches of snow. And then the UP of Michigan, I think you guys, a lot of you are going to see 6 to 10 inches of snow. And then seemingly almost purposefully, it blows up once it gets into Canada. And a lot of people over here are going to see well over a foot of snow up into Ontario and Quebec. This will miss most of the major cities down there. You guys are going to be mostly rain and maybe a little bit of freezing rain. Speaking of that freezing rain, look at these ice totals down here, man. This could be a significant ice storm for some people, especially with those gusty winds. I'm most concerned about areas around Madison, Wisconsin, points north and east into the northern of Michigan. So start preparing now for a potential ice storm. This is going to be happening within the next couple of days. Also, maybe even Montreal and the city of Quebec over here might have to worry about some ice accumulation, but it looks like most of the heavy stuff is going to be off to your north. All right, let's take a look at that big picture of the pattern as we go forward, okay? Now, this is the pattern that we've been in for a while, all right? I've been talking about this for I don't know how long, and this is the reason why we're seeing this storm track like this. Usually, they'll travel in between our blue blobs and our red blobs, and our storm early this week is going to try to trail this off and bring in another trough into the middle and latter portion of this week that will likely once again bring us another whopper of a storm, and this one's going to flatten off and really try to race this across the entire U.S. And impact everybody. This looks like another snowstorm back here, another potential ice storm for the Ohio Valley down into the lower Midwest, and possibly a severe flooding event and just an overall severe weather event down in the southeast. This could even bring snow into the northeast as well. And that big storm, if that thing actually comes through, it's going to completely change our weather pattern. And then bada bing, bada boom, look at that, Monday, February 28th. Right around the turn of the month, as we go from February into March, winter is not over. This is just one model run, but some of the ensembles are even hinting at this. I do think we're going to see another big trough train come through the East Coast, and we're going to have multiple shots at winter weather from the southeast all the way up into the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic regions, and the Northeast, as another couple potential big winter storms are going to be on the table for us right around the turn of the month. As you guys know, this stuff changes pretty often. We like to take it one storm at a time, but you know, that's just a little teaser for you. Make sure you subscribe if you want to learn more about this as we go forward. All right, so I mentioned with our red blobs and our blue blobs how it looks like there's another whopper of a storm coming, forming along that trough, and it's going to eject off to the north and east. This one looks like it could be pretty significant, and there it is. This is the GEFS ensemble model. So this is the GFS, but there's a lot of members of the model. There's a lot of different scenarios, and it averages them all together. This is the way to do it if you're looking at model data more than 3 or 4 days in the future. And you can see the overall average outlook from these models is that a big storm is going to form here in the central portion of the country, and it does look like an ice storm, or at least some ice accumulation, or at least some frozen precipitation is going to be possible once again from Texas all the way up through Arkansas, Missouri, Indiana, Illinois, and into Ohio. This actually shows a low possibly deepening and producing another whopper of a storm as we go into Friday with heavy snow back here around Chicago, into Illinois, Missouri, Iowa. Once again, no, this is not a replay. And then a potentially concerning area of ice setting up from West Tennessee through the Ohio River area into southern Ohio. Once again, do not put too much stock in this. However, because it's on the ensembles, it is very likely that something similar to this is going to be a reality. And the really interesting thing is the flat trajectory of that blue blob as it goes across the U.S. is going to allow for the cold air to be locked in the Northeast as this comes through. So I think that there's a good snow chance for a lot of people in Pennsylvania, New York, all the way into New England. But also, additionally, there is that ice accumulation chance as well as you get out there, maybe closer to Maryland and South Jersey. But yeah, that is just not a good sign. That's something that you don't want to see. And once again, I do have to mention, this is our first storm. This is the one we're talking about at the beginning of the week. This is Tuesday. Look at all the rain all the way up into the Northeast. And then right after that, that second storm forms and an additional amount of rain is going to fall on that. And buddy, I'm thinking that we're going to have, I don't know exactly where it's going to set up, But somewhere in here, we're going to have some major flooding problems as we get later in the week this week, and that might actually end up being the main story from this. So yeah, obviously, very busy week coming up. I encourage all of you to subscribe to the channel with notifications on because I'll likely be uploading daily as this continues to just be an incredible year for weather. Once again, I thought we were going to have a quiet season, but things certainly haven't been quiet so far, and it doesn't look like a quiet period is coming up anytime soon. So get used to seeing my face and hearing my voice. All right, huge shout out to our members over there. We got a bunch of new ones during the last live stream. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Also, we are this close to 400,000 subscribers. Subscribing is free. Please hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button if you support, if you like what I'm doing here. Once again, I plan on trying to do daily videos as we go forward. I don't know if we'll do a live stream with these little slight risks severe weather events. Just stay tuned on all the social media platforms and you'll be updated there, okay? I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.